I'd say I'm excited about an opportunity this week to play our rival at home with something to play for. It's always great when you can have a game like that, and we all really excited about it, knowing this rivalry and how important it is, and the things that matters to us going forward is really excited about this opportunity. And again, I know last week we got a win, a much-needed win for our football team, and we didn't necessarily play our best, but we played hard for 4 quarters and gave ourselves a chance to win that ball game. And guys stepped up and made a play when a play was needed. And I was excited not only with the win, but how we won. I thought our football team needed to win a game like that, and hopefully that can propel us on to good and better things moving forward. And we're going to build off of that from last week, and knowing that it's going to be another physical ball game this week.
All right, first question will be Wayne on the front.
Wayne.
Coach, this is your first time being a part of the Florida State-Florida
Nope.
rivalry.
Always been a part of it.
What's what are your memories of this rivalry growing up?
The ones we won. Remember all the ones we won. Don't think about the ones we lost. But it was a lot of great players playing in all those rivalries. I mean, I think if there's anything, a lot of great players and a lot of great coaches throughout all of those games. And again, you can throw out all the records and all the stats. It doesn't matter that game. You got to come ready to play and play for 4 quarters.
Deshaun?
Coach, I think on Saturday, Stanford said this would probably be the biggest game of the year. Just in this kind of high-leverage moment where obviously the bowl streak's on the line, is this kind of a game where you can kind of find out a lot about those kind of players and see how they perform in these kind of situations?
Well, you want every game to be that way for your players, and not just the last game or just a rivalry game, but it's the most important game because it's the next game and it's the last regular season game. And I think whenever you end the season, you want to win. You want to win that game and go into the off season with a win. And so this game is important for a lot of reasons. Again, it's for us, it's our rival. These seniors. The last game in Doak, our seniors and our football team have a chance to go bowling. For our seniors to finish off their career never losing to Florida, there's a lot to play for. So I guess you can say it's important for a lot of reasons, different reasons, and our guys understand that.
Go to Tim on the front row.
To kind of elaborate on those seniors, it's a group that's been through a lot, have coaching change going into their last year. So what can you say about them and what they've meant and to you coming in here for your first year? I
appreciate them all because they bought into what we asked them to do. They didn't ask for the change. They didn't ask for any of those things, but they bought into what I've asked those guys to do and really help me and our staff and our underclassmen set the foundation of what we want our football program to be going forward. And I commend them for that. I thank them for that, and we'll be forever in debt to them for helping us set the foundation of what we want this program to be.
We're going to go to Brendan over here.
Will, you mentioned that this is going to be a physical game this week, just like last week. What did the defense, how did they get prepared to go against a physical offense like Boston College's? Was that just a mindset thing? Was it some schematically? Was that just guys wanting to do it?
Well, I think I challenged our coaches and our players is to get back to what we say we were going to be from day one. I mean, we kind of got away from it with all the things that were going throughout the season and trying to find answers to get going. And we kind of got away from ourselves and who we were. And, from day one, Coach Barnett said on defense we wanted to be fast, physical, and aggressive. We kind of got away from that, and I challenged those guys. Let's be fast, physical, and aggressive in this game. And I think we saw that out of our guys. And part of it is we were a lot simpler on defense and allowed those guys to do that. And the same thing on offense is we said from day one we wanted to be lethal simplicity and go fast. And we simplified some things on offense, and the tempo picked up, and it helped us when we had some explosive plays, especially in the run games that we wasn't getting earlier, and it was good to see it in the game. But I think it's more of that, just getting back to who we said we're going to be and allowing our guys to do those things, and it paid off for us.
Corey?
How similar are Boston College and Florida's offense? I know Florida likes to run the ball a lot, and they like to be physical.
Not similar.
At all?
No, it's different style of ball play. Florida's going to run. You see some of the things we do, and they run the quarterback a lot more. but it's more spread. You're not going to see 2 or 3 tight ends a lot, and that being your base offense. They're going to spread it out with 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers and a tight end, and you'll see a little bit of 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, but not as much as you've seen against Boston College, and you see Florida in the gun and not on the center as much.
All right.
Well, you talked about the seniors. Jock West-Patrick's a guy who came back for this year and probably hasn't had quite the year he expected, but he had the block on the last pass. Just, I guess if you talk about him and the season he's given you.
But he's one of those guys, again, you appreciate so much. He wanted to come back, and I remember talking with JP about coming back when he was contemplating whether to leave or not. And we both had big goals and plans for himself, and unfortunately the season didn't go the way any of us wanted it to go. And I think he's going to have a great NFL career. For somebody who's going to get lucky with him, he's not only a good football player, but he's a better person and a great teammate. And again, I think on that pass play that you're talking about, that's just him being a great teammate and helping the offensive lineman out on the block. And again, that's what it takes sometimes. But he's been that way throughout the year, and for someone that had big expectations for himself, along with Cam and all, he could have easily just tanked it and just say he didn't want to do it. And he hadn't done that not once. He's been trying to do everything he can to help this team and want to help this team. And I tell you, he's helped me a lot just sitting down and talking to me about the team and where we're at. He loves Florida State, and he want to make sure he leave here the right way.
We're going to go third row, all right side.
Hey, Coach, I know you spoke about how important this win is for the players, but can you just elaborate on how important this may be for the fan base and for the university to get a bowl win?
It's very important. Like I said after the game, we're a prideful university. We pride ourselves on winning, and you think about the streak, that's winning. We've been winning every year, so it's very important that we go out and give our fans, our alumni, our former players and coaches that have been here, and our current players and coaches, everything we can to see that we get this victory and keep it going. That's important to us, and we know what is at stake, and we got to go take care of business.
Wayne?
Coach, Saturday wasn't the most well-attended game, but how important is it to have a full crowd for this one rivalry game, and what type of impact can the crowd have on a rivalry game?
Well, I tell you what, that it probably wasn't full, but it was heard. The fans that were there, they did a great job of supporting us and making it loud, and we appreciate it. And I can tell you this, it made a difference in our players and the way they performed out there. And I took my headphones off on that last pass down there and just heard how loud it was, and like, wow, that was really, really impressive, and it just makes you think of what Doak can be like if we continue to make plays like that, and I think our guys see that too and understand it. And again, whenever you're playing a rival and a good football team like we're going to play this week, and you play them at home, you always count on your fan base and everyone to have your back and help you to get through this game. So it's really important that they all be there and show up. And I've been told before that fans don't like showing up at 12. We need them to show up at 12, show up early, and stay there and help us the entire time, because we need it. But it's part of being a team. It's not just us. It's all of us, fans and players.
Go to Allison in the back.
Hey, Coach. You've seen it before this year, but this team's fight, their resiliency, they showed that again on Saturday. But how important was that in that win and kind of heading into this week, this rivalry week?
Oh, it was very important because, again, it was a must-win game for us. And our guys kind of put things together, things that were really hurting us. We put them together. We did some bad things in the game, but we were able to overcome them and not continue to let those things define us. We kind of stayed to the plan and stayed positive and not get down when things didn't go our way, which happened early in the game. And I was really impressed with that because I knew eventually that we'll overcome those things if we just stick to it. And our guys, they did it, and it paid off for us. So hopefully, again, that's something that we can continue to build off of when we get in those situations. And it could be this week again, and that we can fight through it and overcome those things. I know this, we're one of a few teams that's come back from behind this season for more than 10 points or more. So our guys know they can do those things. But we also know if we don't put ourselves in a position where we have to come from behind like that, it's a lot better and less stressful as well.
Hey, Coach. When a decision is made during a game, if a player's struggling, a switch is made, is that the position coach that makes that decision? Is that you? Is that the position coach maybe coming to you, say, I want to do this, and you approve? I'm just curious how that whole
No,
does that play out?
that's my discussion. I mean, that's my decision. If a player is struggling and not playing well, that's a decision that I'm going to make, not necessarily a position coach.
And a quick injury update I want to ask about. The prospects of Levante Taylor and then Cole Minshew. Can you get either one of or both of those guys potentially back this week?
Levante's, he was out yesterday running around and trying to get himself back right. I think we'll know more on Tuesday. It's just, again, with the hammies, you never know, especially until you get out and you can run. Just go all out on it and see how it goes. So I think we'll know more on that on Tuesday. He ran around a little bit yesterday, so I think he's getting closer. Cole, we're waiting on some results to see how we're going to go forward with him. He's still doubtful. We're just waiting to get some results back to see how we go from here.
Well, you guys had several explosive plays in that game. I'm sure it was mostly scheme, but could you talk about the way the playmakers stepped up and made plays? Because the week before against Notre Dame, you guys didn't make a lot of plays.
Yeah, it was good. I think overall we just executed better. I talked about it after the old Notre Dame game and in the North Carolina State game. Is just we're not consistently executing, and I thought on Saturday we executed consistently a little more than what we had all season, and it paid off for us. And again, guys were locked into what we're doing. I think helped is, again, simplifying some things so we're not thinking as much. And I think when you're not thinking as much, you can execute a lot better. And it showed on Saturday. Guys were able to do that in every aspect. But it was good because our guys that didn't execute and didn't make the plays that we wanted to in the game before, they came back and made them in this game. You think about Terry and the game he had at Notre Dame, and I know he told the entire football team that he was going to make up for it, and sure enough, he did. You know, and even Terry early in the game, not getting as many catches, but staying locked into the game and coming up big for us there at the end was big.
Do you think that the outcome of this game matters from a recruiting perspective, in terms of when you go in state and recruiting against University of Florida, in terms of perceptions, that sort of thing?
I think any game, winning any game helps with recruiting. You know, it's big, not necessarily because it's Florida or anything. I know the perception, you win a game, then you get all the recruits. I wish it was that easy. Then we should have them all if that was the case. But recruiting is about building relationships, you know, and I know for us it's about getting the right fit for what we want for us and how we're going to build it. So and I don't think all that has to do just with winning. Winning helps big time. I mean, I think every recruit want to go somewhere where they can win, you know, but a lot of recruits have things they want too out of a program, what they're looking for too. And so we're trying to find the right fit, what we're looking for and what they're looking for, and hopefully it's a great match, but winning helps.
Willie, I know you said after the game that the energy and effort have been there all season. You've been happy about that. To see it kind of culminate in the win and the fact that guys are still playing hard even after that 3-game losing streak, I guess, what does it say about where this program is at and how they bought into you as a coach?
Well, I think not just me as a coach, they buy into the culture, they buy into the vision of what we set out to do with our program. And I think our guys seeing everything we're doing is benefiting them. You know, everything is catered towards them. And putting them first, you know, whether it's in the classroom or off the field, and trying to hold guys accountable. And everything we're doing is about our players, and I think they appreciate that. And when it comes to football and the losing streak, and they did not giving up or anything, I think it's just each individual being real with themselves and asking themselves, are you doing enough to help this team, or are you doing something to hurt this team? And if you are, let's work to make it better. But I think watching film together as a team is less than the finger pointing to where you can have that division from within, because everybody see each other make the mistakes, and so it's hard to point fingers and get on someone else. And I think guys appreciate that, and it makes them come out and practice that much harder, knowing that we got to correct those things. It's on us. So I think those things have helped us, and a lot of it's just part of the culture that we're building, and we still got some more work to do, but we laid the foundation, and we got to keep moving.
Wayne?
Willie, that was the most success that you guys have had on the ground this year. Was that due to the offensive line? Were they playing at the best level they've played at this year, and just why do you think that is at this time?
Yes, I think if you look over the last 2 weeks, you can see our guys up front improving. Again, I think you probably would have seen a little more if we didn't get so far behind in the North Carolina State game, but I think you've seen improvement in those guys the last 2 weeks, and that's a big part of it. But again, I think because we simplify some things and to allow them to just play and not think as much has really helped our guys and allowed them to play with a lot more confidence, and when you can play with a confidence, you can execute a lot better, and that's what they're doing right now. They're executing better and a lot more confident in what they're doing.
Going to go to Lane in the back.
How much is Keyshawn Helton an example of a guy who's earned his playing time through practice, but also capitalizing on his opportunities and being able to make plays?
That's who he is. He's always been doubted. He's been the small guy, and everyone think the small guy can't play football. But Keyshawn is one of the small guys that have one of the biggest hearts. He's one of those guys you want on your team because he's gonna give everything he has to help you try to win. And I know he loves this place, and he's a big-time football player for us. I think he earned the respect from his teammates from day one when he got here, and he told everybody what he was going to do, and now he's starting to show us all what he's capable of doing. And again, we felt like, especially a lot of the freshmen that are playing for us, we felt towards the end of the season we're starting to see more of them and see what they can do, and all those guys are starting to show us. And it was great for Keyshawn to come in and make those plays for us that he did because we needed him. And he sparked it. He gave us some spark there.
Is there any value in looking at a guy like Dan Mullen in his past in terms of the way he coached maybe the first 11 games of his regular season and the way he would approach a rivalry game at the end of his seasons?
Say that one more time.
Is there any value when you're going up against a guy who's played in a really heated rivalry game at the end of his season to kind of see the way that maybe he approaches that game differently by looking at the way he coached in previous games in his regular season before going into that final game?
I think it depends on who you are and what you're looking for. I probably could look and might find something, but I think we're going to continue to look at the film that we watched of them and how they coached and the tendencies that they've shown. And I don't think they're going to get too far away from the tendency. They've had a lot of success doing what they're doing, and they're not going to get too far away from it. So. But again, I don't think it's about Florida. It's got to be about us, and about what we're doing, and we got to be on our A game and what we're doing. And we feel like our A game, if we're on our A game, we feel like it's good enough, but we have to be on that and against a good football team, and we can't make the mistakes that we've been making. We got to be sharp on everything we're doing and doing it at a high level. And again, it's the last game of the season. We need to practice that way. We need to meet that way. We need to walk that way, and then do it on Saturday. And we got one last opportunity at home in Doak to put it all together. And so it's more about us. And if we can do what we need to do, we feel good about it.
Corey?
Willie, was it part of the game plan to get DeAndre to run more? I think he had like 8 or 9 attempted rushes. It wasn't Tommy Frazier or Willie Taggart even for that matter.
I was going to ding. You going to
Sorry,
skip me out?
My bad. It wasn't even Willie Taggart. But is that something that has been coming? Is he healthier? He just looked maybe a little different and quicker than he has.
He's healthy, and I told him before the game, we're going to run you more. He's like, go ahead, coach. I want to run. And he's been healthy all year. We just hadn't ran him much, and I think he wants to run the ball. We didn't run him much, and in that game we decided to, knowing that we were going to have some running lanes for him, but it was good to see, him go out there and run with a purpose and get us some yardage that we needed when it happened. So I know there's things we can do that can help us on offense with him running the football, but it was good for him to go out there and for us to call the plays to allow him to do that.
Sean?
Florida's had a top 30 defense this year, and they've been really strong against the pass. I guess just what have you seen from them this year, and where do you think are some challenges they can present?
Well, they're very skillful, and they take advantage of opportunities when they come. And then they do a good job of taking the ball away with fumbles and interceptions, and and just getting you behind the sticks and make you play behind the sticks. And whenever you can do that, it makes life a lot easier for you defensively. But they're very, very talented defense, and from top to bottom. And they have the kid Polite, who's a big-time pass rusher for them that gets to the quarterback. And Coach Grantham has done a great job with some of the schemes that he do for those guys. But they're a talented group, and they play well together.
Going back to the senior theme, Nooney had a career game on Saturday, and he also, his big pass in the first half, his big catch in the first half was a big momentum shift. So talk about his impact on the team and maybe being a playmaker like he was on Saturday.
Nooney, I think when you watch, if you go back, you see he's one of the guys that's consistently made plays for us throughout the year, and I think we all know he's a playmaker. He's a competitive young man and love playing the game, and he's one of those guys that want the ball every play if he can get it. You love those kind of guys, but he's a guy in a game like this you got to lean on, because he's been in games like this. He relishes games like this, and he'll step up and make a play for you in games like this. And not only that, to think this is his last game in Doak, and knowing that his grandmother's going to be up there and probably her last game cheering in Doak too. I'm sure he want to put on the show to make sure she's dancing once again in Doak Campbell. So I'm sure he's going to be fired up and be locked in to have the best week of practice, and so he can go out and have his best game at Doak.
We're going to go back to Aslan in the back.
We haven't seen much of you in a locker room after a game. We saw you, nice little 1-2 step. I don't know what the kids call it these days, but you seem to be enjoying the victory. I just want to get your thoughts on just how cathartic that was for you. And also, one of your players seemed to have recorded a little bit of your post-game speech and put it on social media. Is that something you're okay with, or little deal, big deal, no deal?
No deal. I'm not going to say anything that's going to degrade our program, so I guess that's no big deal. And after win, I think we're all happy. And again, nowadays it's social media and all that. Those things happen. I kind of thought about the dance when I was in the middle of it, saying, "Man, this is going to be all over social media right now." But I was in it, couldn't stop. It was just one of those things you get caught up in the moment. Just seeing how happy our guys were, and knowing how hard they work, and it was just for me. It was one of those. They were doing it, and they were doing a dance I felt like I can do. So I jumped in with them. At least I don't look like a Jake out there and not know what to do. So I got in, and I had the whistle in my mouth, so I had a little tune to it too. So, but it was really out of the joy of our players, and just seeing how happy and excited they were, and they worked hard and they deserved it, and it's a fun time.
We got time for two more. Tim.
The other side of the ball for Florida, what are your impressions on their offense? I know you talked about it a little bit, but them and Felipe Franks, what are your, observations on him?
You could tell he's improved from last year, and I think Coach Mullen and the staff has done a great job of playing to his strength, and he's doing that with the entire offense, and that's helping them be successful, and they're doing a good job of run and pass. And running the quarterback as well, So I think Coach Mullen hadn't really put him in position to hurt him. He put him in position to help him, and it's helped them so far.
Last one, as always, Ira.
This is a little obscure. I'm doing a story on Isaiah Prauslacki. How much exposure have you had to him? He's a walk-on that's been in the program now for his 4 years, which is pretty rare. A lot of walk-ons don't stick for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he also has got signaling plays for the defense. I guess what are your interactions with him? And I know he wants to go into coaching, and so I think this has been a valuable experience for him.
It has been, and he's been coming up when he have downtime. He'll come up and help out around in the office, and being around a young man that want to coach, and you can appreciate guys like that, because some guys want to coach, but they don't want to put in the work to go coach. And you think about him being a walk-on and not playing in games, but coming to practice every day and doing everything we ask, and try to give a good look on the scout team, and then help coaches on game day. I know for me it's pretty neat to sit down there and see him with his hat on and headphone, and so that's pretty cool. I was like, that was me one day before, and hopefully that's something we want to stick with. He hadn't really had the long hours yet, so hopefully as he continues to grow and get into it, he appreciate it and realize that the impact that he can have on young men when it comes to coaching, and hopefully he cherished that and want that to be a part of his life to help impact others.